Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about line 5 in human design. Oh man, I have so much to say about this line. I am a 3-5, so I have 5 in my unconscious, and this is quite a powerful line. And with great power comes great responsibility. So line 5 is known as the heretic. And we'll talk about kind of why that comes to happen and how we can do our best to try to avoid it. With the knowing that as a line 5, you will be burned at the stake. No matter how hard you try, trust me, we try. No matter how hard you try, there will be times in your life where that will happen. That is what you are here to do. If you have a line 5 in your profile, line 5 has the most transpersonal karma out of all the lines, meaning that we are here with karma to the world. It's not personal, it's not with our community around us, it's with people out there. And we talk a lot about this projection field and how line 5s are in the projection field. So I want to give it's kind of a vague definition, but it's the best that I have seen or been able to experience is that this projection field is like a transpersonal area where everybody's perceptions and their minds mix with your own. And so it's kind of like a very gray area. It's not easily definable. And so when you are in that projection field, there's very little definition about who you actually are. And so let's kind of talk about the implications of that. Line 5s are meant to be seen. A lot of famous people have 5s in their profile. We are meant to be seen doing everything. And this can be kind of difficult, right? Because it gives people more knowledge about us, in which when their projection changes from positive to negative, they can use that against us. One of the ones that always comes to mind to me is Kim Kardashian. I'm a 3-5, and so she's the 3-5 as well. And I regardless of how I feel about her, there's a lot of people who like her, a lot of people who don't like her, and people tend to feel very strongly, including myself, about her. And I've kind of done what I can to neutralize it because, in my opinion, if I have a really strong, this is another thing about 5s. So I noticed that if I have a really strong projection for a long time, I like hated Kim Kardashian and like the whole Kardashian clan. And I had these reasons, right? And whenever I have such a strong feeling towards something, I'm like, that's strange. I feel like that has not a lot to do with just that person. Like there's some underlying beliefs that I have to think about. So I examined and I wrote down, why do I hate Kim Kardashian? Oh, she's materialistic. She's this. And then I transformed those into how can I see those things in a positive light? And when I did that, and it's not because I'm so fixated on Kim Kardashian, but it's because I don't want to be somebody who walks around with these projections in the world. Like she's just being herself. There's 7 billion other people in the world. It's not, for me, I recognize it's not about her, but it's about the underlying beliefs that I have about money, about how we should live. And so I want to examine those closely. And this is why people with line 5 are known as the karmic mirrors, because this is what people do with us. Now, oftentimes, especially if you're in the healing field, but really no matter what, we are projected upon to be saviors. And I always laugh about this because my last name actually means savior in Farsi. And I'm like, cool, it just adds to the list of people who think I can save them. And the thing is as 5s, we are here to be visionary guides. We are the ones who are supposed to go out and give practical solutions, visionary solutions. We're leaders, we're natural leaders. The problem comes in when people project onto us that we are something that we are not, and we go with it. Because we are very perceptive and we are very aware of how others perceive us. So when somebody projects onto us, because this happens quite often, we're the perfect daughter, we're the perfect wife, we're the perfect this, the perfect student. And there was a lot of instances in my life where I was given that projection, and I took it because I knew I could feel that if I did not take that, I would disappoint the people around me. And if I disappointed them, then they would no longer love me. And if you're a child with a profile 5, this idea that they will no longer love me, like especially with your parents, means death, right? And so 5s really struggle in the house because we really lose our power growing up. We don't have power growing up. The way that I mean this, and Ra talks about this too, about why we don't have power, is because if we think about the line 4 is meant to be influential in their community. They're supposed to be they're friendly, and people in their inner circle look at them and know them and really have great things to say about them. And that's what matters. But for us as 5s, we're here to be transpersonal. So we're here for the collective, for the public, not for those close to us. So your mom, your dad might project onto you as a 5 child that you're just a perfect daughter, and then just kind of like forget about you. Like, oh, she's just good. She's good. She doesn't need anything. She's good. They project this onto you, and you're like, no, like I actually need a lot of help, and I actually am like not just like this perfect person. I have emotional needs, and I want to be seen for them. And that's the thing, is that line 5s rarely are known by anybody, because when you live out in the projection field, people see what they want to see in you. And so one of the things that's really important for a line 5 to do is to be doing self-analysis and self-aware, and being very self-aware, to know who you are. Spend time alone, figure it out routinely, because if you don't know who you are and you allow people's projections to become what you are, and it's not who you are, and then something happens and they recognize that you are lying, this is where we see unsuccessful 5s. This is where we see the mask fall, and people all of a sudden hate you. They loved you. They just absolutely loved you, and now they hate you because you are living up to a projection that was false, because you knew that if you could feel that sense of projection and what they perceived you to be, and you didn't want to let go of that because it felt so good to be on this throne. And then when they find out that that's actually not who you are, and they kick you off the throne or they burn you at the stake, right? This is the heretic. It's extremely painful for us. So this is why I said with great power comes great responsibility, because this is such a seductive, magnetic number. I mean, this projection field is the seducer and the seduced. So you and the public are playing different roles at different times of being the seducer and the seduced. They are seducing you by having these perceptions of you, and you are seducing them by saying, yes, I am this. Or they're just looking at you and being seduced by you because you just seem to be the person who could fix them. So if you're a projector like me, who also lives in the projection field, and you have a 5 in your profile, you really feel this, right? Like, even though this is my unconscious number, I can definitely sense that when people first meet me, and this is how 5s are, when people first meet me, they tend to like me because they're just perceiving me as whatever they want me to be. But that's maybe not who I am. The only way to have a projection field, transpersonal line like a 5, and to be successful is to understand yourself so well. And this is the process, right? Like, especially like really famous people that are in the limelight all the time, and they're changing and they're finding more about themselves. You're going to get burned at the stake. And you have to have some sort of ideal and some sort of practical solution that's worth it. so that it doesn't matter if you're burned at the stake. And when you know yourself and you understand your values, your principles that you're willing to be burned at the stake for, and you have practical, visionary solutions, unconventional solutions to share with the world, that is when you will achieve success. When you're like, I believe in this, this, and this, or this value, this principle so much, and I have practical yet maybe unconventional solutions that I want to share with the world, understand that that may break some people's projections and perceptions of you, but it doesn't matter because you believe in this, and then you will draw the right people to you as well. It's not just about you're gonna turn people off. You're also going to seduce the people who are correct for you. But if you're not doing the work to recognize what those values are, you're going to keep being stuck in this projection field where you're seducing the wrong people, not letting them down, and then somehow disappointing them in a much more major way. One of the things I want to talk about is, like, we say this is the line that has the most transpersonal karma. And because of this, because of your influence on the public, on the collective, and not in your own personal life, this can be really difficult because you're constantly being projected upon. And so being in a long-term relationship, having friendships for a long time, your family, all these people that are in your close-knit community, they may not really know you. It's very hard for people to actually see the line 5 as they are. I know for myself, I try to put myself, like, it's really interesting. So my partner is a line 4. He's a 4-6. And almost everybody who knows him has a clear idea of who he is. Like, maybe not completely, right? Like, I'm his partner, so like I know more about him than his friends. But when I try to convey myself to my partner, to my friends, to my family members, it's almost like there's like I'm like going here and they're going here. Like, it's like we're just like missing each other all the time. And it's like I'm trying to convey myself to them, and I can feel that their perception is not coming off the way that I'm trying to give it to them. And yet when I'm speaking to strangers, when I'm speaking to people I don't know, I feel like it is so much easier. This is why we're meant to be guides and leaders, because we work really well with others, but in our own circles, we struggle. We may feel very, very alone, and that like nobody gets us. Unfortunately, fortunately, this is the path of leaders and visionaries. It's definitely more of a struggle for us to get the happiness in our personal lives and to feel like we have power, because as Ross says, when you know them, they lose their power. That's for line 5s. Whereas with line 4s, for example, when you know them, they gain power. But for line 5s, it's almost like we have to keep, like, just imagine this in your personal life. You have to keep a certain amount of mystery and seduction around who you are in order to keep your power. And I don't mean power as in a dominating force, but as in a force of like having some sort of voice, you know? And so just as we can get projected on, we also can project things onto others. And what I've heard about people who are in relationships with 5s is that they feel very strongly about them. Like, this is what I was saying about Kim Kardashian and like how I was projecting onto her. And I recognized that I think this is actually about myself. And so like your partners may one day absolutely love you, the next day they're absolutely disgusted by you. And you have to realize it has very little to do with you. That's the thing. And one of the things that Ra talks about that I've started experimenting with, and it's tough, because it's like he juxtapositions fours and fives a lot, and fours are like the bubbly best friends, right? Like they're generally very likable, and in order to have power, that's their way to power. Fives don't need that because they're transpersonal, and so we can be quite mean and quite cutting, especially to the people around us. We don't need to be friendly and fun. We are an authority. We are an authority. We have a subject and we are the authority on that subject. And we are here to guide and give practical solutions. We don't have to be your best friend. I have this lady that I learn from, and she's a 4-6. And she's like, I have to be everybody's friend. I have to make them feel like I'm their friend in order for them to trust me, in order for them to take my classes. And she talks about how, as a 5, you're not here to be people's best friends. You're not here to be that bubbly, like, I'll coddle you. It's like, this is what it is. This is what it is. And it can be incredibly difficult when you recognize what's actually happening and how often you're projected upon in your personal life. Because once you have that and you recognize that this is their thing, you got to start getting really real with the people around you, and you can be quite nasty. And this is your design. That's the thing. And so it's very difficult because that may cut the perception that you allowed your significant other or your best friends to have of you as being this like sweet, bubbly person in that, yes, sometimes you can be quite cutting. And that's what you're here to be. In order to achieve success and to function well, you have to be willing to be that person that gives the truths that people don't want to hear, as long as they're in tune with your individual principles and values. So this is where people get kind of, if you're nasty for no reason, not because you have an authority in something, not because it's a value or a principle that you have, but you're just nasty because you want to be nasty, obviously that's not going to work. But until you realize those individual values, those individual principles that you are an authority on, that you want to guide others on, and you allow yourself to be nasty about it, I'm not sure if that's the word Raw uses, and I'm not sure if people are going to take that the way that I'm trying to get it across. It's not like screw you or whatever, but it's also not like, oh my God, yes, you are the best. It's like, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. So what are you going to do to fix it? I will not be projected upon. This is who I am. You have to be so clear about your boundaries from the beginning of any type of relationship. Be super, super clear about your boundaries, about your values, what you're here to do and what you are not here to do. So this takes self-work, that you got to work on it yourself first. But look at how the power of Kim Kardashian and Angelina Jolie, I'm using 3 5s right now, but look at that. There's always a mystery around them. There's always some sort of seduction around them. Like no one can quite figure out who they are and what they're actually about. And that keeps the public entranced with you. They're enamored by you. That's how you keep their attention. That's how you keep your power. Because they can't ever really know you. So I've said it a million times, but I'll say it again because it bears repeating. And some of the channels I have just tell me you gotta freaking repeat stuff. So here I am. I do it unconsciously as well, but in order to gain success with a 5 in your profile, understand your values, your principles, what you're here to fix, what you're not here to fix, who you are, and what you're here to be an authority on. 2, set the boundaries, set the values, tell other people. Be willing to get burned at the stake. Be willing to get rejected when you break people's projections on you. Trust that when you are like this, the right people will come to you. And 3, recognize that you are a karmic mirror. when people often don't like you or love you or whatever, it's very much about them and not about you. So stand in your own power, recognize that it's really their problem, and tell them that. Four, be cutting, be nasty. When you're an authority on something and you're trying to act like you're just like their buddy, no, that's not how that doesn't work. You lose your power. They don't trust you anymore. And if you're a five and you're acting like a four, you're not going to be successful. So please let me know if this has been helpful for you. I'm obviously super passionate about line fives. I was like, oh, it's gonna be like a 5-minute video. No, I could keep going. But I think, like I said, such a powerful number. And are you a line five? Does this resonate with you? Is there anything that doesn't resonate with you? If so, what is it? If you have any ideas or any stories about the line five, I would love to hear them below. And until next time.